Sunil Gulati here with Grant and I. Of course, first question, Gianni Infantino, the new FIFA president. How do you feel about that?
Very positive. We've known Gianni a long time. I've known him personally for a long time, and we're looking forward to working with him. He understands the U.S. side of things quite well. There's lots of similarities in what they do in Europe and what we do. He's committed to reform. He's a late entry into the race for a lot of circumstances, but I'm very pleased with that outcome.
Sunil, can you lead us through this very dramatic thing that we followed with our cameras? We followed you going from row to row, talking to voters, to Gianni Infantino, to Prince Ali. Take us through that a little bit.
Well, look, we talked this morning and we said what we were going to do last night in voting for Prince Ali. There's a reason we waited until this very late in the game to make that announcement, and there's two reasons. One is we had two candidates we very much liked, and second is I wanted our members of our board to be able to go through a process where they knew those candidates, not as well as I did, and we had a tough decision, and it was a tough discussion last night with Gianni saying, this is what we're going to do on the first round. He understood that. I'm not going to say he loved the idea, but he also understood very clearly that we'd be with him when it mattered. And right after the first ballot ended, we got Ali and Gianni together, the three of us. We had a discussion, and some good things happened in the second ballot.
So we called it Sunil Cam, in fact, because we really were tracking your every single move. Prince Ali, one of the people that we obviously watched you talking to. You said Gianni Infantino was aware of your game plan pretty much from last night, knew how you would be voting in that first round, that's for sure. Was Prince Ali aware that you would look to switch your vote in the second round, should that be necessary?
We didn't get into specifics of that with him. Gianni knew that we would. I told him personally before we put anything out publicly. I met with him and said, "This is what we're going to do." He wasn't ecstatic about it, obviously, but he also knew, and I said it to him, that we would be with him when it mattered. And as long as he was in the race, and he knew exactly what that meant, we had talked about it. I've talked with Gianni as much as I've talked with any candidate over the last 6 months. We've met 5, 6, 7 times, so it's a good outcome.
Did the U.S. vote for Infantino in the second round?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and to follow up, what does this mean for U.S. soccer, and does this increase the chances that the U.S. will host a World Cup sooner rather than later?
You know, I don't want to. This is a good day for the sport. The reforms got passed this morning. We have a candidate that we're supportive of, that we get along very well with, that understands the nuances of the American market. I think it's a little early to talk about 2026, but I think you can rest assured that it got brought up in some of the discussions we've had over the last couple of days.
What do you see in terms of immediate impact? I know when we were speaking to you earlier, you said this is not the solution. Whatever happens today, this is the start of a process. How quickly do you see that process taking shape? How quickly do we see reform within FIFA, and a FIFA that we can live happier with?
So, listen, a number of reforms have happened. A few years ago when the Independent Governance Committee met, a lot of things that didn't need statutory approval have already happened. Financial controls, independent audit and finance and compliance committees, and so on. What will happen now is all those things that needed statutory changes. And that'll take some time for those things to get operationalized. But with the adding a few years ago of Michael Garcia and then Cornel Bobele with Domenico Scalo on board, a lot of those things have happened. Now they'll accelerate since the statutes have been changed. We'll have more women on the council, and you'll see that. But we're not going to get the reputation back of FIFA overnight. That's going to take time, as Gianni said today. But I think you'll see that start to happen, not Monday morning, but an hour from now, if not already.
We've been talking in sort of theoretical terms about what happened between round 1 and round 2 to get Infantino over the top, and kind of what I have been told by somebody on the floor was that Prince Ali convinced quite a few African countries who voted for him in the first round to vote for Infantino and not for Salman, which might have been not the easiest thing for him to do. Is there some truth to that?
I don't think that story is accurate.
Can you fill me in on what is accurate?
Yeah, but probably not right now, so we'll have to let that sit a little bit. Listen, Prince Ali was in the race, but we had some discussions, and with Gianni as well, and I think Prince Ali would have loved to have won this, obviously, but my guess is, not my guess is, I know he's pleased with the outcome if he wasn't going to win. I think that's probably accurate, yeah.
I tell you what, observing you the way we did with our Sunil Cam and watching how you worked that floor and how well you did that.
Trademark that,
Well, we were certainly very impressed by it, sir. Having watched that, Grant actually said, look, this is a new power broker within FIFA, really seeing how you had taken on that role. and potentially pitch the idea of you potentially in the future being the FIFA president. Is that something that you can see yourself taking on? You certainly have the connections, you have the ability to broker those deals.
No. So first of all, I'm not going to be a power broker in FIFA. Today was a good day for the sport, as I said earlier. Getting the reforms passed, getting a good outcome in this election, that's positive. If we were able to play a small role in that, we're very happy. Two people from CONCACAF, Sam Gandhi and Victor Montagnani, were important in the reform committee. So we're real pleased about that, and we took a leadership role in that process, and this afternoon as well. So we're happy about that, but it's not about me individually. I know a lot of people here. That part is true, and there were a lot of people in CONCACAF that had split the vote. It's pretty clear in that first, and to the extent that we could help them reach the right conclusion from our perspective and talk to them about that, I'm glad it worked out that way.
Sunil, you're a senior lecturer at Columbia University. When you go back to teach your class, to lecture, what will you tell your students about the story of today?
Well, I'm not sure we'll be talking about it in Principles of Economics, but my guess is my sports econ class will want to talk about it on Wednesday. So, we'll talk a little bit about what went on today, but I think we'll talk a lot more about it in 6 months down the road a little bit after all things settled.